Communication has this potential for infinite upside. Really incredible things started happening. A booking comes up for a new client, talking to this guy, he's a UN ambassador. And I go, that's interesting. And I saw the Dressing Gown CEO podcast.
No way.
Yeah. And she was speaking shoulder to shoulder with former CEOs of BHP. Her goal was to be the best speaker by a mile.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished. The timekeeper had to go, unfortunately you have to stop. Everyone booed the timekeeper.
Amazing.
She got given bonus time at the end of the conference to finish the story. Problem, options, and solutions. Hook, retain, reward. Don't condition people to hate you. Confused buyer never buys. So making things simple is the art and the science. I become like a caveman. I just grunted a picture of David Beckham and go, that. Are you okay conversations.
Yeah.
They're literally life or death conversations, right? You could alter someone's life. When we talk well, people make friends, people learn things, people have an interesting, colourful day, people make money, people change the world, people save a life. You're on the doorstep of that infinite upside. And I hope the tools I've given you today let you open the door. The more we talk, the luckier we get.
Welcome to the Dressing Gown CEO, where we are real, raw, and authenticity is our middle name. I am joined here by an ex-guest, Tom Hendrick, who was with us around about 6 months ago now, Tom. Mm-hmm. And I'm really excited today because, more so than usual, because Tom has some really amazing updates to let us know from the last time he was here. And Tom is also going to share with us some real practical tips and strategies on communication with guests, with customers, for business owners and salon owners. So welcome, Tom.
I am out of my skin right now, Emily. I'm desperate to come back to the podcast. I'm not just saying that.
No, you have asked 3 or 4 times now. I was like, all right, I have a gap now, Tom.
The reason why is because soon after the podcast came out, some really incredible things started happening. Mm-hmm. Not just for me, but for other people. So when the podcast came out, the first thing that happened was when my parents saw it, they cried in a good way. Because what happened, if you recall in the last podcast, I talked about how as a nervous 13-year-old, my mum got me in touch with a guy called Hal Bannister, who was a family friend. He worked in radio. He gave me some public speaking exercises to do that shot my confidence up to the moon. I won a public speaking competition, and then shortly after he passed away. Mm. And after losing my teacher, I just kept doing the stuff that he was teaching me. Mm. And I was looking at how comedians tell jokes. I was looking at how good speakers like TED Talkers or politicians are consistently good when they communicate. And I found all those patterns and I bottled them up and put them on my little spice rack of ideas. And I was able to give those to other people. And when my parents heard about that, it was a slice of my childhood that they've never heard of before. Yeah. And so that really got to them emotionally. Mm. And then they shared it with Hal Bannister's daughter, who then also cried because she never heard that about her father before. Oh, and so that was really touching for them as well. And so everyone cried in a good way. But then some other stuff happened. So, I'm going about my day. I'm a public speaking coach. And one day a booking comes up for a new client, talking to this guy. He's a UN ambassador. And I go, that's interesting. I've never had a UN ambassador as a public speaking client before.
Yeah.
And I go, incidentally, how did you find me? And he goes, I was Google searching and I shortlisted about 5 other people. But then I was looking for examples of them in action, and I saw the Dressing Gown CEO podcast.
No way.
Yeah. And he liked how nerdy I was on that. I wonder if he was the only one who liked how nerdy I was on that podcast. And he goes, that's what I was looking for. Someone who doesn't just give tips, but someone who, knows the science of it and can make it practical and all that sort of thing.
Wow.
And then some other clients have come from it too.
What's his name? UN ambassador? Who?
I don't want to give away the confidentiality of my clients.
Oh, you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Okay,
it starts with a C. And but he helps.
C-man.
Yeah. He helps people go from other countries to Australia, and he talks to Australia, he talks to other countries, and he sort of brokers what are the biggest skill needs and gaps, and who are the best people that can come here, and how can we get them there safely, and how do they navigate the minefield of regulatoriness so that we get the right people in, but also the right people don't get blocked for administrative reasons. And it's very complicated, very emotional for people with high stakes, high pressure.
Yeah.
And he just finds that he loses 100 IQ points when he speaks to people sometimes, you know.
Okay.
And so like he just wants to come over those nerves. And so we're doing some sessions.
Amazing.
And so that's really amazing. Some other clients found me as well. And again, they went researching, they saw the podcast and they were like, I like this approach, this scientific, you know, practical kind of approach.
Yeah.
This one lady spoke at WA Leaders Summit, and she was speaking shoulder to shoulder with like former CEOs of BHP and stuff like that. And we worked on this presentation together, and she's already a professional speaker. And if she gets a client from her speaking gigs, it's a 6-figure client.
Okay.
And like, so, and so when she did this thing, her goal was to be the best speaker by a mile.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
And she got heaps of new leads from it. And again, like one lead for her is a 6-figure client that she works with for a year and all that kind of stuff.
With who?
Who she works? She works with people.
Who did you say?
Sorry. She works with them for a year, and it's about a 6-figure deal.
Right.
Yeah. For them.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. One other person who found me, she's got such a weird job. She spent 30 years improving the milk economy of different countries. She will go to like Kenya or China or Europe or New Zealand, and she'll work with people who are like in poverty. She'll help them like get their first cow. And then for some people, especially women in these industries, this is their first opportunity to open a bank account. And then they can start a dairy business. And she builds them up to improving milk quality standards and measuring, and she helps them with like logistics. And in Kenya, one woman actually met the president of that country because she started a dairy farm for the community from scratch.
That's amazing.
And she had to speak at this International Dairy Federation conference like about a week ago.
Yeah.
And I've never seen this happen before. We worked on her presentation. She got 30 minutes to speak. She spoke for 35. Despite my training, I couldn't get her to. She always wanted to add more stuff because there's so many milk stories.
Yeah.
The timekeeper had to go, like, unfortunately, you have to stop. Everyone booed the timekeeper.
Amazing.
I've never seen that happen. Usually they boo the speaker when they cheer that the speaker's being, like, taken down. She got given bonus time at the end of the conference to finish the story that she was halfway through.
Oh, wow.
And then the director of the International Dairy Federation has now like approached me. She wants what Linda has, you know, and all these other people have like sort of spread that news of how amazing the dairy industry is. Like, and so she was able to achieve her goal of championing the industry, telling some interesting stories and really invigorating people for that conference and afterwards as well. And it's all because of the podcast. Like,
wow, so Tom.
That's why I wanted to come, because I wanted to say thank you.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And
so good.
And metrics on, you know, the internet or Spotify or whatever don't tell you that kind of stuff happens. You know, like you get X many views, but you don't know like
who's viewing it.
You only need one view for this sort of stuff to happen theoretically.
I know. And unless they comment, you don't actually know who's actually viewing it.
So I just wanted to tell you that, because Spotify's not going to tell you, but I'll tell you.
That's the best. So you got 3 clients out of that podcast.
At least.
That we did.
Who else hasn't seen it and like, you know, made a decision that now's the time to work on public speaking and that sort of thing.
Amazing.
And what it really made me realize is that communication has this potential for infinite upside. If you think of things like, are you okay conversations?
Yeah.
They're literally life or death conversations, right? You could alter someone's life from depression or harm to all of a sudden they've got a friend, they've got a reason to live, they've got, you know, like they realize something, they prioritize something. And conversation makes that happen.
Yeah. And
also for some people, speaking well, you know, invigorates people, spreads ideas, spreads good stuff. You know, there's a lot of, unfortunately, you know, war and other political stuff going on. Is there any doubt that if people like just communicated better, collaborated better, that would be the answer to that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
And then what it also made me realize is that we were talking about, I want to talk about practical stuff for hairdressers and salon owners.
Yeah.
And I just realized that hairdressers are arguably the only people in the world as a profession that gets to chit-chat with their clients.
Yes, and beauticians.
And beauticians, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you're, say, a lawyer, you spend a lot of time talking to your clients, but it's about law. It's not chit-chatty. You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Yeah. It's not building a rapport really, is it? Yeah.
And if, say, you do massage therapy or something, most people would just not want you to talk because they want to do the sensory experience, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't get to do their service and chit-chat with the client at the same time. And so, when I was thinking about when I've had my hair cut, more often than not, especially as like a male client to like a barber or a hairdresser, I don't think a hairdresser has ever empowered me to speak the language of hairdressing. Like when I go in there, I go, short back and sides, I don't know what that means. Number 2, I don't know what that means. And so I don't know, I become like a caveman where I just grunted a picture of David Beckham and go, that. And then, silence and snipping and then $30 later and then whatever,
Yeah.
And then I don't think I've got no loyalty to any like hairdresser or anything like that because the chit-chatting it didn't do that minimum of accessing this ability for friendship or for a 5-star Google review or for repeat business or for giving me something in my day that I could share with other people, if that makes sense. It was there, but the risk wasn't taken or the risk wasn't known how to take. Does that make sense to you, Emily?
Yeah, 100%. So can you give us an example of what the hairdresser could have said to you to open up that little door of what you said is friendship?
There's a bunch of practical stuff we can talk about.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. Not a hairdresser, not a beautician. I'm really concerned that I'm going to be telling people how to suck eggs. So I don't want to say like I know everything, you know nothing. Yeah. Obviously, some people make an absolute business and an art and a science out of how good they are at talking to their clients, right?
Yeah. And many hairdressers are really good at that.
I don't know who's listening. It's either you an ambassador or it's a hairdresser with many years of experience or someone who's just starting out, anywhere in between.
But what you can do is you can clarify that, yes, they're on the right track or how they can elevate it even more. So don't be afraid of just telling us what you think and people will take from it what they
If I'm going to give advice that I'm qualified to give, ever since I was 13 years old, I have always looked at how good communicators in lots of different industries speak. Yeah. And I take those tried and tested communication principles, bottle them, put them on a little spice rack, and I give them to people when they need it. So we can there are lawyers who are good talkers, but they're shifty. And so they have short-term success but not long-term success because they just don't breed trust and things like that. There are other lawyers or salespeople who sell correctly so that not only are they successful but they have longevity, like people keep coming back to them. Same is true of marketing and any industry, right? And so we can take these sort of insights, we can give them to hairdressers. Yeah. That's what I want to do today.
Yeah.
So
let's do it.
Let's talk about something called the difference between communication and presentation.
Okay.
Communication is what you say. Ideally, it's not just what you say, but it's what you say and it's what the audience says back to you. That's communal. You and I is in the middle of communication. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So if you're a comedian, you're speaking successfully if they laugh. Back and forth. Yeah. Right? First, for communication, as a hairdresser, you need to think about what does the success signals look like, and you have to go looking for them. Is it like just getting them to talk? If you're an educator, for example, if I say a whole bunch of stuff to you and you just go, that sounded really technical, and you go blank, education hasn't happened. The teacher's failed. Yeah. You want them to ask questions. You want them to take notes. You want them to pass a test. It's that back communication of note-taking, head nodding, question asking, test completing, that is the other half of communication that shows that education's happening. So defining success from a communication point of view, what should the clients be saying, thinking, doing that is successful? And that's a good way of deciding what's awkward silence versus what's, like a fire that's starting to light up, in a client. If you can get them to just talk and like rant, they'll walk away from that appointment going, that was therapy. And I pay money not just for a haircut but for my therapy, for the month or whatever. Yeah. That's communication, what you say, but more importantly, when you say stuff, what does the audience say back? And that's how you measure success. Comedian that talks for an hour and no one laughs, it's not very successful. No. Yeah. A haircut that goes for 20 minutes or more and all of this stuff comes back, very successful. Yeah. And that's part of the value equation. Like, you're not just giving a haircut, you're giving all of that friendship and stuff as well. That's communication. Presentation, the stuff that speaks that doesn't have a mouth. So if I go to a job interview and I'm expected to wear a suit, I don't wear a suit. The lack of a suit says something before I even open my mouth. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It says that you haven't either respected what they've asked you to do, or you haven't actually paid attention to them asking you.
The context says something, people's interpretation, their bias says something, if they expect a suit, that sort of thing. Yeah. Some lawyers don't expect a suit. They want outcomes, not outfits, And so that lack of a suit would work in that employer, but not for like another employer. And so if we look at your salon, how it's designed, this is an opportunity for good presentation where the salon can do the talking for you or can start the conversation for you. I'll give you a tip I got from a person in the marketing industry. They sold promotional equipment, so things like big banners, those wacky wavy and inflatable tube men that go in front of car retailers and stuff like that. And what he recommends for his clients, and it's disproportionately successful, is he says don't just buy one wacky wavable inflatable tube man.
Yeah.
Buy, say, one of those. Buy a big flag, buy a big sandwich board, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And just every day just replace it, like change it. And you can, if you had, say, 7 and you had 1 a day, that sort of thing, when people drive past, they spend fresh attention on that venue because something new's happened.
Yeah.
So if people are going into the salon every time and it looks the same every time, it's a missed opportunity for a fresh conversation, which could be the little spark that could turn into a fiery, like really good back and forth, relationship building moment with that client.
Yeah, wow. So the aesthetics of what the salon looks like, or perhaps, shameless plug here, the different foils that they're using.
I was actually going to shamelessly plug that for you, Emily.
Thanks, Tom. Using different pattern foils each time your client comes.
Genuinely, the foils are a very good example of that concept of novelty being such an easy conversation starter. So these are foils. I'm used to seeing grocery store aluminium foils. This is like different foils. Tell me about that. There's an opportunity to talk about the things that set you apart as a salon. Like we use good quality stuff. They're stretchier. They adhere the colour better, as opposed to they're just like cheap to keep the price down, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
More importantly, the design says something about a cause, about our philosophy, about the help we're trying to give. The design, it's fun. Let's talk about how fun it is. This design was done by an artist. Here's a story about that artist.
Yeah.
Suddenly people take that home with them and go, something really interesting happened at the salon today. And now you're not just talking to an audience, you've got the audience's audience. You might get, things can start to happen from that.
Yeah.
So hairdressers are definitely in a different situation to, say, a massage therapist or a taxi driver, where people are more interested in doing work. They are a captive, bored audience. And you don't have to be a clown, but you can figure out, everyone's different. You can figure out what the signals of success are. And you can use presentation, so you can get things to say things on your behalf. I go to a lot of exhibitions and expos for what I do as a public speaking coach.
Yeah.
And it's really, really awkward when people are walking past with their show bags at an expo to go, hi, how you doing? They go,
yeah.
They're like, getting sold to.
Yeah.
They're trying to drag me in.
Yeah.
If your booth doesn't get them to come to you, it's failed. If a booth is like a trestle table and it's just 2 people staring like those clowns at the show, as people go by.
That's so cringe, isn't it?
It's creepy
we
and
are
cringy.
actually going to have a booth in Orlando.
Awesome.
In Florida.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And we were going to do that. We were going to do that normal booth where you're standing behind the bench and you're wanting people to come to you. But then we thought, no, that doesn't meet with our brand. We're high-end, we're luxury, we're community and connection. They're our core values. So what we're doing now is we actually have a couch, a coffee table. It's all open out the front.
Open, yep.
Yep. And we are setting up appointments and meetings with people beforehand, and that's what we're using it for. So when people are walking past, they're seeing people here sitting with us laughing, having fun, but we're not trying to sell them anything. We're just saying, hey, we're here. You can come and chat with us if you want.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And again, back from that communication standards from a marketing industry, everything you've just said ticks the boxes. Hook, retain, reward. it's a constraint-based approach to communication where it forces you to say, I can't achieve everything all at once. You can't just fire hose words at a client and expect them to pay you money, you know?
Yep.
Hook the idea that they're going to be going from walking, they need to stop and look. You get 1 second to achieve something.
Yeah.
And so big open couch with a coffee, I need coffee, right? And it's free instead of $5 or something like that, right? Bang, like now that's in 1 second you've achieved success, which is to get simply people to stop and look.
Yeah.
Tick. That's all you can achieve in 1 second. Then you have another budget of time. It might be 10 seconds or less. People have short attention spans. You've got 10 seconds or less if you're lucky. What can you do to then progress that relationship further? So is it swoop in, or is it give them something to look at, give them something to talk about, give them something to do that's fun? Some of the best booths are just so playful. Like they've got a 360 camera studio there. Like, let's take a fun photo, you know?
Yeah.
Or if you can't do that, have like a gift basket or a raffle, and they go, like, what's this I could win potentially?
Yeah.
You know, and then again, it's just 10 seconds of something to do. Even just a place to sit down, like, I've been walking all day, like I needed this, you know? It's very inviting. Retain. The last thing, reward, or I like to phrase it in the negative, don't condition people to hate you. So now that you've got them to stop, now you've got them to do something, don't go, hey, like, can I sell you this thing? Like, clickbait, I'm out. You know, that's just, make them leave with a sense of this business is community orientated. This business is awesome. This is interesting. I'll think about it later. Yeah, they might act right then and there, but leaving that good impression, which means that they can see you again and they won't run for the hills as soon as they see you. Like, you haven't conditioned them to, next time you have a really good hook, they go, not going to get, like, I've seen it, but run. Like, I'm already conditioned to know that these people are a waste of time, you know?
Yeah.
So as long as you just let people leave with good sentiment, that's that nurturing relationship that will eventually pay off.
I think the only thing I'll ask of them is, do you want to have a photo, and then we can put it on Instagram together?
Again, yeah. And if you were to jump and say photo, go, bang, you know, just without consent or permission, just selfie.
Yeah.
You'd be like, what the heck are you doing? You know? But you're only maybe 20 seconds or 1 minute of, relationship away from getting that photo. They'll be excited to give you that photo,
Yeah.
And so, just that's that constraint-based approach to communication of, like, give yourself a second, give yourself 10 seconds, give yourself a minute. What can you genuinely achieve in those little sprints? Don't try to do it all at once. Yeah, basically.
So in a hair salon point of view, what is it that hairdressers can do that can have that, what did you call it?
A constraint-based approach to communication.
Yeah,
so
constraint-based.
Hook, retain, rewards, the more plain English way of saying it.
Okay.
What do you have in your salon that gets people to stop and look? Is it the fact that you've got a wall of celebrities or awards or art or something new? Novelty is, pretty effective. They might ask the question first. And that brings me to another point, is a lot of this stuff, whether it's communication or presentation, it's kind of like being a good driver on the road. It's not, the point is not to be so good at driving that you can speed and you can avoid traffic. You've got great reaction speeds and that sort of thing. Being a good communicator is much, much more about how good you are at empowering the other person to be a good communicator. In the same way that if you're a good driver, you saw an L-plater on the road, instead of giving them a normal amount of room to change lanes because they're nervous, you give them more than a normal amount of room.
Yeah.
And that's what the L-plater needs to be successful and safe on the road. So if you're a good communicator in a salon, not only would your salon be making it really easy and comfortable for people to start conversations, but you would also make it really easy and comfortable for people to start conversations. You're not trying to pitch to them. You're trying to get them to talk. And then once they start talking, that's when you might have an in or an opportunity to say what you need to say about your story, your services, whether you need a 5-star review, all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
And so being really good at getting those questions going, it could start with compliments. This is the thing where I feel awkward about telling people how to suck eggs, but like,
be authentic with your compliment, don't you?
Yeah, that's it. Authentic. I think starting now, I talked to my client Julia, who was the one who spoke really successfully at the WA Leaders Summit. She talks all about this. So I'll give her a plug. She's got this thing called the Infinite Sales System, and she's very, very good at not selling to people in a traditional used car salesperson kind of way. It's the opposite. It's this sort of mutual consent and trust-based series of conversations or actions that lead up to good long-term relationships.
Yeah.
And her favourite question starts with the words, tell me.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about that thing you're wearing. Tell me about what your day was like today. Tell me about like how you got here today. Tell me about what the weather's like outside. I've been inside all day.
Yeah. So for hairdressers that want to sell product without selling, what tips could you give us in regards to tell me or anything else?
2 things I'd recommend is, one, a confused buyer never buys. So making things simple is the art and the science.
Yeah.
And the second thing is that how good something is incomplete. It's got to be, I like to use a 3-step process to selling or to showing people that something's worth their money or their people often have to take a bit of a leap of faith when they buy something. They have to take your word for it. That'll do what you say it does and it works and it's all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The 3 ingredients to bake that selling cake are problem, options, and solution. So a lot of people just do problem and solution. Like, if your hair's a bit dry or, you don't like the color or this thing you used didn't work before, then you have to use this thing instead. It's incomplete. It lacks a leap. It seems forced. It's got the stench of you're just trying to get a sell. Like it's too favored in favor of the seller. It seems like the seller's trying to put something on the buyer. But if you include this important middle step of options in there, you would say things like, you've used this product before and it didn't give you the hair thing you were looking for. Options. So there's 2 things that get good hair results. Like one would be you might say there's like the chemicals, like they need to have a bonding process, all that kind of stuff. I don't know anything about hair dyes, so I'm just making stuff up here. So there's a chemical component. There's also an application component. It's like how long it needs to stay in there, the heat, temperature, all that kind of stuff. And what you might say is, so the reason why that product didn't work is because it's trying to get you good enough hair color quickly, and that's not going to work for everyone. What we do is we have a product that you need to set in there for a little bit longer and the temperature needs to be such, but then you get a much stronger, much longer lasting hair application. Does that make sense? So now we're able to pivot to our idea because our idea was a member of the class of options. So you've empowered the audience to understand how to solve the problem, and then conveniently you've just given them a solution.
Yeah.
But they know all the ways to solve it, and your thing is just front and center.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if they agree with the test and your thing passes the test, then they can just have yours quickly. They don't have to spend time and effort researching something else when something else is already good enough in front of them.
Yeah.
So many people miss that important options step.
Well, what you just gave then is short-term gain versus long-term gain, didn't you? Yeah.
So there's like a quick and nasty way of doing it. There's a slow and better way of doing it. We have a slow and steady product right here. And they go, that's what I need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So with the art of consultation, let's start with every single hairdresser that they get this all the time, which is the client says, I just want to trim or I want a natural blonde. How do you actually decode what they mean without a 20-minute interrogation?
Yeah, like just incessant questions and things like that.
Yeah.
There's a bit of an art and a science to this. So again, it comes from that posture of empowering the audience to know the language. There's a few ways of doing that. So the question was, if I want a natural blonde color or some other sort of blonde color, how do you get them to know what they mean?
Yeah. Or the client says, just to trim. It's like, well, what does that actually mean, just to trim? Yeah.
One way of doing this in a way that's not awkward but very empowering and playful would be consider using communication resources other than just your mouth. So for example, if you have swatches or examples or colors,
photos,
so hypothetically you've got photos, so you've got like a long, medium, short, really short, that sort of thing. What you're going to be empowering the audience to do is say something like, I want this one but with this and that as well. Does that make sense? So not only does the image tell them what to do, but the information in between the images is giving them power to communicate as well. Yeah. It's almost like going back to caveman times when we drew cave paintings and people go like, oh, that's what happened. So that instead of them having to come up with the technical words, you're getting them to points, which is a much more leveraged communication thing. So props, pictures, more than just giving them a word salad or sort of interrogating and having them to come up with the image that's not in their head.
Yeah.
Like, does the image already exist somewhere would be one way of doing that.
So on the inspo photo, what does happen quite a lot is hairdressers will have a client come in and the client will provide an inspo photo. And it's just not achievable. This is just, their hair just isn't going to be able to withstand that kind of photo.
So you got a problem, option, solution thing that triggers there. So the problem with this is your hair won't take this.
Yeah, so how do you talk to them without deflating them or embarrassing them by saying you're ridiculous, basically?
I work with a lot of people in other industries that have exactly this problem too.
Yeah.
One of them was a graphic designer.
Okay.
And so they'll say like, oh, here's some options for how we do logos and website designs, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then the business owner will be like, oh, but I really had my heart set on this, like left-handed crayon drawing of the guy who's got no art skills like myself whatsoever, going, I want the website to look like this. And then the graphic designer's like, that would make your website super slow. You'd look ridiculous. I'd be embarrassed to do it. But does that make sense? Like there's so much, this person wants their own thing.
Yeah.
It's a good opportunity again to, there's two things here.
Mm-hmm.
One would be how to empower that audience to understand the consequences of that decision, and therefore they could be more like they could get what they really want in with a bit of education.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing though is, as a business owner, to have that sense of identity that we might not be all things to all people.
Mm-hmm.
We are like a specialist brand and we just throw parties for the people who like, the thing that we do, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of that. But if I just think about the communication side of things, the way that I help like graphic designers show people why they can't just, like why you need to have actual technique in graphic design and not just draw anything, you know, is to do that problems, options, solution thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can supplement that with communication resources like a portfolio, it's a way of sort of elegantly showing what else you're capable of, or getting them to see like what they hadn't thought of, before.
Yeah.
But problems, options, solution, you go, okay, so what you've done here, I can see what you're trying to do. Like you want these colours. Those colours are your favourite colours.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I can also see that you want this sort of design because you want high utility. You just want people to understand the problem up front. That's what you want for your design, that sort of thing. Problem with that is like the problem with that is this, and then you'd start to list off those problems. So you'd say that when in our experience, when lots of people see that colour, they make associations with that colour.
Mm-hmm.
And that colour doesn't invite things like trustworthiness and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so from a macroeconomic perspective, when a lot of people see this, they're not going to get that that's what you do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, like red for a cleaning company looks like blood or something like that, which isn't hygienic.
Yeah.
Green and blue is like the standard for cleaning, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Fresh.
Yeah. And then you might say, now there's a deeper thing here. If you want this on your website, it's not just what you say to your customers. There's like an SEO and a back end thing. Google's going to interpret this and AI is going to interpret this. If you say that up front, they're going to think you're this sort of industry when you're in fact that kind of industry.
Mm-hmm.
So we couldn't do it that way you'd get no Google leads if you did it that way.
Mm.
What I recommend we do is we can take this element, not that element. It would look like this. Here's an example.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So it's very much a yes and conversation. Yeah.
And you're using your expertise. So you're saying in my experience or from what I've seen. Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
I think salon owners could do something similar. Like, I love that colour. It would look awesome on you. There's a problem. Like that colour and your natural hair colour are not going to play along nicely.
Yeah.
There's the long way, there's the short way. I recommend the long way, even though it's a bit more painful, much better upsides. Here's an example of how I did it for someone,
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah, definitely. So if a client is clearly unhappy while they're in the chair or while they're in the office with the business owner, what do you do in that moment? Like, how do you, I guess, get them to not be so upset?
That's a tough question because
I probably need to give you an example.
It's really, I know what you mean, but it's very hard to influence people's moods and behaviors. Like in the same way that someone can be upset for no reason, you know, like it's how do you get people to stop being moody?
Yeah.
I have a almost 4-year-old.
Yeah.
And when I do this, I go, like sad face. She goes, whoop. She takes my bottom lip. Ooh, if I don't have a sad bottom lip, then I can't be sad. You know?
Okay. So you can't really do that with adults.
You can't go, you can't like stretch
can't go up to them and go, smile.
But to take advice from my toddler's little like kids shows that they do, feelings come, feelings go. I find that feelings are almost like in a bucket. And if you just let that bucket out, like they eventually flow out, new stuff sort of comes in. So sometimes not talking about it can just let it fester, like that emotion sort of sitting there stagnant in like a bucket, so to speak. If it is appropriate, like say they're the only one there but they're clearly like unhappy, consider just saying what you see. You know, there's nothing, without being judgmental about it, you'd say something like, I'm sensing or I'm hearing or I'm seeing that you seem a bit concerned. You can use a really agreeable sort of soft word, not like you seem angry or you seem pissed off, you know, that sort of thing. Yeah. You might say like, I'm sensing that you're unhappy or not fully satisfied. These are really like soft ways to start the word. And all it is prompting the audience to now start to talk about it, you know. And if they go, no, it's fine, maybe it's better to leave it there because they don't want to talk about it. They'll just deal with it. But then you can have a judgment call then, I think, about as to whether you just want to call out what you see. You could, again, go through that problem, options, solutions thing. So you might say, I'm seeing that you're not happy with how this is turning out. Here are some options for you. One, we can leave it here and, you know, like I'll just tidy it up and you can be happy with this. You know, and we could come back a bit later when it's grown out a bit more and we can do something else. And or we could do something that's a bit more of a risk-reward trade-off, you know, do a Hail Mary, like for this head. Which of those things would you be more interested in? I don't know, but like giving people options, telling people what you can do. But I think before you commit to a solution, getting them to tell you in their own words, like what it might be. Yeah. But that's a hard question.
Yeah, it is. It is something that hairdressers do come across every now and then, though. If a client is unhappy with the result, like, you know, you've done everything and then they look in the mirror and they're like, I don't actually like this. It's a very difficult situation for a hairdresser to be in, but what you've suggested with the problem, options, solution.
One thing I would suggest as well is having a contingency plan for exactly that thing, so you're not just making it up. Yeah. One thing I help people out with who need to be, say, MCs or facilitators, like they need to manage a meeting with lots of other personalities. One of the most powerful things they can, so say someone's talking for way too long, right? Yeah. One of the most powerful things you can do is interrupt them but point to the rules, not to the person. Yes. So you say something like, I'm sorry, I have to cut you off there. We can only allow 1 minute per speaker. You know, does that make sense? Yeah. And so like, I'm not the bad guy. It's like the rules that keep this whole thing together need to be complied with. And that tends to get people to like, you know, because there's a higher authority you can point to. So a lot of people use their salon as an opportunity to, you know, sell a service or upsell something or sideways sell something like a Google review or like come in for a colour, not just a cut, you know, that sort of thing. Consider also what a downsell looks like. So if you're not completely satisfied, this is our guarantee, like a downsell. So like, so like something that's a bit of it's a reluctant, you don't want to have to do it all the time, but the customer satisfaction is going to go through the roof potentially if they know that even if they have a bad experience, they don't walk away with something really bad. They get something that they're actually happy with. Yeah. And that's, talk about turning lemons into lemonade. I think you need a lemons into lemonade policy.
I think as well that's a really good point, because when hairdressers bring on an apprentice or they bring on a new team member, that can be part of their orientation or part of their onboarding process is, this is what you say if, hopefully never happens, but if a client is unhappy, we are actually prepared for that and they're prepared for that so that they have that pre-preparation.
Like the words like refund and discount I think are improvable. in the sense that instead of discount, I prefer the word trade-off. You know, it's like, so we're not discounting the price because we're panicking and we desperately want sales. We're reducing the price and amending what's included. Does that make sense? So we can get you a haircut at an earlier rate because, say, we've got an apprentice. Does that make sense? So like, yeah, you can have a cheaper haircut and you'll be basically paying for this person's education.
Yeah.
You know, so that's like a trade-off rather than like a discount. And also, instead of like you can have a refund, right? And in consumer law, some people are entitled to a refund. But instead of a refund, it's like this is, you could consider this part of almost your marketing budget, right? So you spend an amount of money to get customers. You also spend an amount of money to keep customers.
Yeah.
So if you've got, you know, an amount of money to spend on finding and keeping customers, some of that money could be allocated towards ensuring that a disastrous haircut doesn't cause a 1-star review and, you know, like what would you pay for that?
You have a contingency plan already in place. Yeah.
And sometimes just giving them their money back and they have a bad haircut doesn't embody the equation.
Yeah.
It could be something like for example, and here's where the other stuff comes from. If you've got, you know, like the foils as you've got, consider what their gift basket might look like. You know, like what could you, we know that if you just give someone a banana, that's weird. You put like a banana with some nuts and some chocolates and some flowers and some perfume, all that in a nice little gift basket.
Yeah.
It's nicer through modulation and combination. So consider if like, this is where the art and the science could come into it. If you've got a marketing budget, consider how much of it ought to be allocated to insurance against disastrous client experiences.
Yeah.
And what little things you could cobble together that together make a genuinely good consolation prize, you know, like for these people, such that they have a bad haircut and they go, something really interesting happened at the salon. Like, yes, I didn't quite get what I wanted haircut-wise, but they were so good and understanding that my expectations weren't met and then they exceeded them. Yeah. 10 out of 10 would come back again.
Yeah.
Like that would be a desirable outcome.
Yeah, that would be the best outcome, wouldn't it? What about communicating our significant price increase to long-term regulars? Like what's the framing that keeps the relationship intact?
There's a lot of things. I'll try to keep it concise because there's a lot of things to talk about there. This is sometimes a business outgrows its clientele or desires to outgrow its clientele. Yeah. So like we want to solve rich people problems for rich people now, you know, rather than
values change. Yeah.
We used to be in all things to everyone, but now like we've got a strong sense of identity that we are a luxury product and some people can't afford us, but some people like really love the results and they don't pay for a commodity, they pay for a dream outcome, you know? Yeah. And so those are the people we're looking for now. There's clever ways I've heard of people doing this communication-wise where they can actually use their existing clientele they can use this opportunity to get their existing clientele active and referring and getting more work for them, even though they're sort of, you know, leaving them, so to speak. Yeah. One thing, for example, would be, say you're going for a new clientele, the clientele that you have that you're not that interested, like, yeah, you can declare your new price. If you want to work with us, this is what it is now. Yeah. For those who would be dissatisfied with that, you know, you like the old pricing, you have, say, 6 months of legacy pricing. We'll honour you because you've been with us, you know, for so long. That's maybe one thing to consider. Yeah. The other thing would be, but we've also put this thing together for you. So we have, say, trained up another person who's starting like a salon and they know what we do. You'll get a similar experience with them. Guess what? That person who's started a new business, who's happy to have new clients, might pay like a kickback or a referral fee, you know. So now the clients that you had that you can't service anymore, you can still have some sort of revenue stream like through that. They're happy to have a whole bunch of new potentially loyal clients. You know, they pay for one, they give you the fees for one client once, but then they get 10 fees from them going forward because they keep them. That's a fair trade-off for everybody. Yeah. Clients are happy that they get to keep their experience or they go up with you or they, you know, they've got time to figure it out, that sort of stuff. We could go into this in more detail, but that opportunity to give people empowerment options, to have a better experience through a disappointment, like it starts off as a disappointment, but it ends like on potentially a better experience, just through clever modulation and combining of, you know, little things together is another way of doing that.
Yeah. I know what we do if we have to increase our prices and, you know, someone does ask us about it, then we explain to them exactly why the price has increased, which is that manufacturing prices have gone up. If we want to maintain the prices or lower, then we will have to go to another manufacturer. If we do that, then we may not have the best quality. It may not be the kind of foil brush board that you're used to, because we have to actually lower the quality, and also the service may be longer as well. It may take longer, so we may run out and then you'll have to use another product anyway. So this is why we are increasing our prices, because we believe that the quality is there. So what is that I've just told you? Is that the problem, options, solution, or is that something?
If we framed it that way, it's likely to produce a good communication structure. Because problem, option, solution, without getting into the nerdy theory of it too much, unless you want me to, is that those aren't just three random topics put together. Those are a triplicate of examples that together form a pattern. Pattern communication has a lot of whether it happens when the words together say things, like the words form a pattern together. So if I gave you a graph, x-axis, y-axis, and I put three random dots on that graph, you couldn't see a clear pattern because they're all everywhere. You would only get three tiny dots of information. But humans are pattern-seeking creatures. If we put three things in a nice relationship with each other, not only do you get the three dots, but you get the trend line connects those dots. So you get all the information between and beyond those examples. Problems, options, solution. Problems are often the things that we have maximum agreement on. Like everyone believes that nothing's perfect, everything has a flaw. Options, like general ways to solve those problems, are the second most agreeable thing to say, because people could go, yeah, there's lots of ways of solving it, but we generally need to do these things. And then when your specific solution is a member of that class of solutions, it's just everything's consistent and it's a converging pattern. So it has a lot of trust building stuff in it. So people see the logic. It's not just a force. It's like it's got a coherency to it. And so that's a good structure to pick from a theoretical point of view for answering that. So if you said prices are going up because, like the costs of goods and stuff are going up, it might sound something like this. So the problem, yes, we have to increase our prices. Let's talk about that. The problem with the problem you're experiencing is that you're used to paying this much and now it's this much. So why is that? Well, options. The options would be we've got more input costs, so we have to keep up. You've got to maintain our margins to stay in business.
Yeah.
But the other option that we're considering as well is you might say things like innovation and higher quality. So not only are we keeping up with the downsides, but we need to produce like a better quality product. And so the specific solution we're doing is, and you might have a specific solution that's consistent with those two things. So you might say something like, if you buy, like you might have an offer where it's like next time you buy one of our products at like the higher price, there's something temporary that we can like throw in there or something to give you a taste of the new innovation, that we've tried. So you can throw in your product. Again, you've got a marketing budget for product testing. You could consider lumping that into that otherwise unpalatable deal. So people can see both, can take the unpalatableness of prices increasing due to inflation or whatever, but they can also get a taste of that innovation. And if that innovation is really tasty, it covers up the medicine of the higher price.
Yeah.
And so that problems, options, solution was a way of sort of finding out how you could have more upside than downside, like in that overall deal.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. So what about firing a client? Is that a real thing? And if so, how do you do it professionally without turning it into a drama?
For some people, this would be therapy to them. I'm sure they would love to know.
They'd be like, yes, I can't wait to get rid of this person. Yeah.
Firing a client, absolutely a real thing, in the sense that I talked before about the identity of a business is like who we serve and what we do, and we don't flinch, on that.
Yeah.
And so if a client doesn't hold those values anymore, like you fire them. how many businesses are you increasingly seeing, like whether it's an ambulance or McDonald's or other businesses, like please be respectful to our staff? That's an example of being able to, one, stop people from being assholes in the first place.
Yeah.
Because there's studies that show that like on a subway in New York, if you just have a cardboard cutout of Batman, people behave themselves.
What?
Yeah. Just like,
Are you serious?
not the real Batman, but just like an
Are
imagine.
you suggesting that we all put cardboard cutouts in our salons and
If you
businesses?
consider though, again, the presentation of your salon, the
Yeah.
stuff that talks that doesn't have a mouth.
Yeah.
If people see, please, please, please be respectful to our staff, that's one of our rules, you get the following benefits. One, less assholish behaviour in the first place, at least to some degree. Secondly, that facilitation authority that we mentioned before, of pointing to the rules, not the person, and saying like, your behaviour looks like this, that's against the rules. Therefore, I have power to fire you, evict you, like not tolerate this anymore, to tell you off, all that sort of stuff,
Yeah.
right? Hard to summon that authority from nothing, but if the rules are like, there, then it's a thing that applies to everyone. It's not just being selective with someone. And then again, you're absolutely entitled to fire a client if they're no longer who you serve. You've only got so many hours in the day. You can only serve so many people.
Yeah.
Then the second thing that you said is how to do it professionally. Again, having rules to point to is really good. So you can, if there's something that establishes the brand's direction and dream, and the sort of this is the prices we charge. We price based on outcome. Therefore, we don't flinch on price. We don't have a discounting policy. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If you can point to in one form or another, whether it's like a terms and conditions or if it's like a symbol, for something, it can make that conversation more like rules are rules rather than like I'm just, I'm picking you out because I don't like you in particular, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so you can use your rules and your values as the devil's advocate, sort of separating it from yourself. I love that. Yeah.
And once again, this is not just a bad thing and a bad thing only. Consider it as a downselling opportunity. So if you have a budget, if in your week you're going to let people down, what can you cobble together that makes that actually somehow a net positive experience?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we don't serve you. However, I've got a menu of amazing people who do exactly what you want. Like we could do this on a silly level. Like someone comes in and goes, "Hi, can you change my tire?" We are a salon. But I get my tires changed here, and the guy, like that guy is awesome. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now you're giving them good advice, I guess,
Yeah.
So consider what your downselling policy is.
Yeah. Very cool.
How you turn lemons into lemonade.
So how do you stay present technically when a client wants to chat the whole way through, and does that actually matter?
So that chit-chatting.
Yeah.
The chit-chatting, remember, has access to infinite upsides. Like who knows, this person that's chit-chatting, who knows who they know, who knows what opportunities they could make available to you.
Yeah.
Who knows if you, like what they need in their life, and if you give it to them, even if it's just a little thing, like they just need someone to talk to. This is their safe place to vent. You're giving them not just a haircut or a colour, but like therapy that they desperately, desperately need. So consider what that upside is. And it's an infinite upside, which means that anything from a client that comes twice instead of once, or gives you word of mouth, or gives you a Google review, or refers amazing customers to you, or invites you to amazing opportunities, like to speak or to, do something, or even just becomes your best friend forever, or even what you do like saves their life or changes their life, and they become a hairdresser and they become your best employee or something like that. Who knows? Communication has any of that is available. And so by choosing not to play that game, like just to stay quiet or nod your head and go, you just, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah. So, but how does a hairdresser stay present technically so that they're not getting carried away in the conversation? Like, is there a rule that they can have in the back of their head?
Good question.
Yeah.
So present, so how to avoid tangents, how to steer things back.
Yeah, so like if they get really carried away in conversation, but the foil that they did 45 minutes ago maybe starting to cook a little bit too much and they've forgotten about it, or Yeah, so how...
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, what you've talked about is a good segue to what we've got here, actually.
Okay, let's have a look at this.
Very quickly, Emily. So this is what I've invented this game, and it's for exactly this sort of thing that you've just mentioned.
Okay.
So when someone is new to communication, and it's like new to any skill.
For those of you who are watching, we actually have called Mic Check. It's called Mic Check, and it's a card game with 52 cards in it, and Tom has actually created it himself.
I have, yes. I've got
very cool.
Got a big shipment coming of many, many copies.
Yeah. And Tom's going to tell us a little bit about.
This is what
we're going to play a game.
This is what. Let's play.
All right.
This is how it works. So whenever you learn a new skill, you start off by having to just focus so much on doing that skill, and your performance is really low. Like say you're dribbling a basketball or something, you're just looking at this basketball and it's very disobedient, and you know other
disobedient.
and other stuff could be happening, but you can do is fixate on how bad you are at like dribbling this basketball. But eventually get better, and now you can dribble it with very little attention. You can have a conversation, and you can do advanced things with that ball. And then eventually you can do really tricky things with that ball. And you can look up in the middle of a heated game where your players are doing all sorts of things and the opponents are doing all sorts of things. And you can make really clever decisions in split seconds despite having mastery of this basketball.
Yeah.
So there's this attention performance trade-off. Your attention gets lower and lower and lower, and your performance gets higher and higher and higher. And when your attention gets really, really low, you can add more skills on top of that. And if you get those attentions really low and those performances really high, suddenly you're doing like 8 things at once at an enormously advanced level, and you're still able to do other stuff.
Okay.
That's that attention performance trade-off.
All right.
So this is a card game that does exactly that. If you find it really hard to hold an attention and do other stuff in the salon, you need to work on your attention performance trade-off. You know, you need to be able to chew gum and walk at the same time.
Okay.
This card game is all about improving your communication skills by lowering the attention demand and increasing the performance output.
Okay.
Here's how it works. We've got 4 decks of cards. They all have about 52 cards in them, and there are different types of cards. One deck of card is called the challenge cards. This one says confuse us. This one says comfort us. This one says rally us. These are the outcomes you have to achieve. So you have to do a presentation and make it as confused as possible, or as comforted as possible, or as like hyped up and ready to go to war as possible, right?
Yeah.
That's the last card that we'll do. But the first card we do is called the sponsored by card. As in, you have to, this is called, that's a bad example. This one's called trains.
Okay.
So we have to talk about trains. And level 1 for this game is, can you talk about something for 30 seconds?
Okay.
So, Emily, can you talk about trains for 30 seconds?
Yes, well, where I live, there are trains that come past very often, and I quite like it. I find it quite comforting because I feel like I'm overseas somewhere on a train or in a hotel listening to the trains go past. I've never actually been on a train for longer than, say, 20 minutes into town.
And if I stop you there, because that's about 30 seconds, you were able to do it. Level 1.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's all the hard work we've been doing together.
We have not practiced this, by the way, guys.
Yeah, these are completely random shuffle decks of cards.
I haven't seen these.
And so a lot of the clients that I initially get who have really severe public speaking nerves, even though they have a lot of stuff about trains because they've been on trains before in their head, you put them under the pressure of talk about trains for 30 seconds go, they go, I've just gone blank. You know, and they're so inhibited, or their attention demands are so high, they're so hesitating, they're so worried, words just cannot come out of their mouth.
Okay.
That's where they stop, and that's where they start. Like they have to just pick random things like trains, sugary beverages, chocolate factories, and just learn to just talk without judging themselves for 30 seconds. Just get that fluidity of just words coming out of your mouth, and that's all you have to do.
Yeah.
Level 1, super easy. Now, level 2. This is the script card. So this is where you have to not only talk about the thing, but you are now forced to talk about the thing in a certain way. So the script will give you a structure. It'll say, now talk about chocolate factories, small and big. So imagine what a really small, maybe startup little chocolate factory looks like. Talk about what an enormously big industrial chocolate factory looks like. Makes sense? Now you can't just say anything about chocolate factories. You have to say specific things about chocolate factories. So Emily, what does a really, really small chocolate factory look like, and what does a really, really big chocolate factory look like?
Well, I've been to a really small chocolate factory, and that's where they're actually just manufacturing the chocolates right there in this little shop, so you can actually see what they're doing. And then I've also been to a really big one where it's out in the country. It's like kilometres of factory, and you walk through and you can see all the different types of chocolates. Like they have a lot more chocolates than they do the small factory. So,
And if I stop you there, that's awesome, Emily. So level 2. And in the last time we spoke, we talked about repeat and count. And you and I have done lots of repeat and count training in the lead up to your conference speaking and other things like that.
Yeah.
So you're very good at this ability to not only word associate and talk about something for 30 seconds, but now your brain is able to do 2 things at once. It can talk and put the words into their neat little categories as well.
Okay.
Level 3. This is where people start to panic and the wheels start coming off.
Okay.
Now, this is called the mic check card.
Okay.
And so you have to talk about something in structure, but mic check says now do something with your voice and or body. Okay? So if I draw some more cards, we've got fast food, home and away. So talk about fast food in Australia, talk about fast food in other parts of the world. And you have to stare at me and never look away, like super intensely. You've got to stare at me until it's really awkward.
Okay, so stare at the talent scout so hard they get nervous.
Yeah, so you cannot break like a really fixing, like overly focused gaze, like with me, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So now you've got to juggle that third ball at the same time.
All right, so I've got to talk about fast food.
Here
and
away. Yep.
And away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when I eat fast food here, I find that I have quite a lot of variety around my area in Unley. But then if I go somewhere else, say in the countryside, I don't have many options at all. I have like fish and chips, maybe a chicken shop. It's actually really frustrating. So that's why I tend to not actually go away, because I love takeaway that much in my area.
If I stop you there. Well done, Emily. Now, for those of you who can't see, Emily was like looking into my soul. Now, Emily, how did that feel now that we added that element of like really weird, like intense contact?
It was strange because I changed my voice as well so that I could come across as like a completely different character, which would then justify as to why I'm talking about takeaway, home and away.
So some involuntary things kind of happened, or now your ability to concentrate on fast food knowledge that you have and putting it into its little categories is harder because there's a third juggling ball taking up your attention budget.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Furthermore, that deep staring is really weird, and it's going to make your brain go, panic. Like, this is weird. And so now you have to speak with simulated pressure, right? It's as if it's the similar feeling as if you're in front of a stage in front of 1,000 people. Your heart rate goes up and the nerves go a bit, funny. Because there's this visceral, physical component to it.
Yeah.
So we're simulating what it would be like to speak in front of 1,000 people by adding that third juggling ball.
Yeah.
All right, my turn. You want to see what happens when you do all 4 at once?
Yeah.
All right, so Emily, I want you to pick 4 random cards from anywhere you want. You can take them from the top, you can shuffle them, do what you like. Okay. I want to prove to people that this is me not having done a pre-prepared presentation.
All right, so we have challenge.
Great.
Philosophize us.
Mm-hmm.
We have conferences.
Great. This sounds like...
For sponsored by.
Mm-hmm.
For script, we have not this, but that.
Mm-hmm.
So that is talk about what doesn't work and then what does work.
Mm-hmm.
This is really tricky. And then we have pause for great effect at some point.
Wonderful. Cool. So I have to say something incredibly deep and insightful, that's philosophize us, about conferences, using what doesn't work about conferences, what does work about conferences.
Okay.
And I have to pause for great effect at some point.
Okay.
Here we go. No script, no prior preparation. Here we go. Conferences. A lot of people go to conferences for business when they should be going to conferences to find themselves. Let me explain what I mean by that. When you go to a conference and you go there to talk about yourself, talk about your business, spruik your services, if everyone does that, everyone is looking to sell and no one is looking to buy. That is not a sustainable thing or a worthwhile use of conferences. On the other hand, if we think about what conferences are from their origins, from their etymology, conferences are a conference, a confluence, a combining of people from different parts of the community into one new community. This is an opportunity to find yourself in a group of people, not to sell, not to create a facade, a business, a persona, but to have real conversations with real people from different walks of life, learn something and learn a truer thing that you didn't know about yourself from confluence. That was weird.
That was great.
But I may have said something insightful, something deeper.
Yeah.
Check, philosophize us. I had to talk about conferences. That's something I know of, but it's like peripheral to my intelligence.
Yeah.
Not this, but that. I complied with that. And I was forced to make it extra pointy by like pausing for great effect. So now how you would play this game is that everyone would have a go at that card combination.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone would then have to do their own version of it. They could steal content from other people, or they could. So say I did a really, really good job of say the pause for great effect at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Someone could win a point off of me by just pausing for even greater effect.
Yeah.
Or saying something better or funnier about conferences. And this is where almost the Cards Against Humanity thing comes out, where one person's the talent scout or the judge, and they will allocate these cards as points to whoever did it the best.
Yeah.
So if you're not the best speaker in the room, guess what? You could be at least the best pause for effect person in the room, and you get a point for that.
Yeah.
So everyone can just practice, something that could help them win a point. Because when people are distracted trying to do all four things at once, you could just be better at one thing and get a point in that round.
Yeah, great.
And this gets you thinking faster, structuring things better, de-inhibiting yourself, like going from getting instantly nervous over small things to being very calm when there's lots of panic and demand.
Yeah.
And being able to move your voice more, move your body more, think faster, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what kind of businesses, people will buy these cards?
So this card was designed with two things in mind.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it is purely a skill acquisition tool. Mm-hmm. So we talked before, everyone needs to improve their attention to performance trade-off. Communication for a lot of people is something they think way too much about, and it's not a skill that comes second nature to them.
Yeah.
You play this little playful game and that will come to you. You'll be faster at speaking, able to come up with smarter things. You won't lose 100 IQ points when you talk to a scary person. Your personality will come out more because you're just so used to moving your voice and body that under pressure, you don't just tighten up. You still have flexibility of voice in reserve under pressure, like to be you, in hard situations. So this is a thing of building up that muscle. But for, let's say, schools or teams, this is like a team building exercise. We can all get better at communication together and have some fun and laughter the whole time as well. And for me as well, as a business thing, it's not like selling these games is not really the operative thing. For me, I'm going to be starting a podcast where I play this game with our team of professional communicators. Mm-hmm. We bring other people in to play with us as guests. We can promote their business and talk about talking at the same time. Mm-hmm. We can get like celebrities and comedians in and do really fun games of this.
So good.
And then we can start to make expansion packs. Like we can make a school edition. We can make a hairdressers edition. Yeah. We could make, like a specific editions to help specific people.
That is so good.
And although this is a playful game, we can also make it a professional thing. So I've got 4 cards here. And again, you can do 1, 2, 3 or 4. Start wherever where your limitations are. Build up from there. But if I were to go scare us about bureaucracy using a bad, better, best structure, we've already had that one. And I can't use my hands even the slightest bit. That's the 4 cards. I could say now talk about public speaking, but I have to use bureaucracy as an example. That's 5 juggling cards now. Ooh. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I have to scare you, and I have to use the bad, better, best structure. If I try to do a concise version of that right now, I'd say something like, public speaking terrifies a lot of people. Most people would prefer to be in the grave than giving the eulogy. And the reason why people are so scared of public speaking is because it is so complicated and so overwhelming. Think about the fact that there are a million things you could say as your first word, a million things you could say as your second word. Before you're 10 words in, there are more word combinations than atoms in the universe. Dun, dun, dun. How we can make this better is we can get through the bureaucracy and the form filling and the complexity of word choice, and we can start to put good systems in place, just like a good bureaucracy. Instead of getting bogged down in word choices and hesitations, we can have efficient systems that mean that we can do little things, little techniques that get us saying more than the words themselves. That's what a really good system looks like, when just a flick of the switch causes all the lights to come on and all the production to start happening. And when public speaking reaches its final form, it's scary how effective it is. Imagine being able to produce a sentence said just the right way, at just the right time, to just the right person, and you could get them to do anything. But are you terrified, Emily?
Not really.
All right, well then I don't get the point for scares. But I talked about bureaucracy and a bad, better, best structure, not using my hands at all.
Yeah. So the bad, better, best can also be not this but that as well.
Yep.
Like very closely.
We talked about patterns before.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity to put your examples, not in a haphazard, disjointed way, but organize from bad examples to better examples to the best in class examples.
Yeah.
And by putting them in such an order, the audience is empowered to see a clear pattern, which means that they're empowered to understand what you mean in between and beyond the 3 examples you gave.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So what Tom did is he chose scare us, and he had to do something a little bit scary in his...
Speak in a scary way. Say something intimidating. Yeah.
He had to talk about bureaucracy, but he also chose public speaking as well. And
to juggle 5 balls in the air instead of 4.
Yeah. And then you did bad, better, best. And in case you haven't noticed, those of you who are watching, Tom did not move his hands once, and that's because you must not use your hands, not even the slightest bit. And in the expansion pack that we've got coming out for this, there are other fun mic check exercises you can do. Yeah. Things like before you speak, run and find a prop. And then you have to use that prop that you've just found in the room. Hold a glass of water, fill it to the very top. Don't spill a single drop when you talk. Oh, that's
almost
so
like a Shaolin monk doing training.
Yeah. So you could have like a comedy one where you have to do something stupid and the other person's not allowed to laugh, otherwise they lose a point or something like that.
Exactly. So stare at the people until they blink, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I demonstrated this at a school yesterday, and I drawed 4 cards, and the 4 cards were convince us of flowers using, I think it was bad, better, best, and you had to use your best accent. So I used a Scottish accent, and I
Why does everyone go to Scottish? It's so funny.
For me, it's easy. You could do Irish, you do American, yeah.
Can you do a Scottish now?
All right, if I were to try and convince you that flowers are the worst thing in the world, here's why. If I'm sick and I'm on my deathbed and I feel like I might die, but I've really just got man flu, what I don't want is a reminder of my mortality. So when you bring in some flowers, those flowers I have to take care of, when I need people to take care of me, and those flowers are going to die, and that's going to remind me that I'm going to die, and I don't want that when I have man flu. Better than flowers is artificial flowers. Then they can't die, and I don't need to take care of them. They're not the best because they still remind me of flowers, and I don't like flowers. Better than flowers is to not just give me something, but give me your time.
Aww.
Nice.
That's beautiful.
There you go. And that's like a reprisal of what I did yesterday.
Yeah. That's the best. I love it. Oh, well, Tom, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else that any words of wisdom, anything you want to impart to our audience viewers that you feel we haven't covered?
I just want to reiterate, both as a thank you to you, Emily, and as the whole, I've said lots of, again, you can't stop me from saying nerdy technical things about communication today, but to summarize it all, I just want people to realize that when you talk, you have this amazing opportunity to tap into that infinite upside. And it doesn't matter however small or big the win is for you or other people, when we talk well, people make friends, people learn things, people have an interesting, colourful day, people make money, people change the world, people save a life. It's all possible when we just talk well. And as I said at the very start of this podcast, because I did this podcast about 6 months ago, so many amazing things happened, not just for me, but I really highlighted they were happening for my parents. They were happening for my parents' friends. They were happening for my clients and their audiences and their audience's audience. And so that podcast, the metrics and the views are one way of measuring success, but often what you don't realize is the impact that even a video that one person sees might have for that person and many, many, many other people.
Yeah.
And if you're a hairdresser, you have a salon business, you're a stylist, you're a beautician, you have this amazing privilege that you're one of the only people in the world who gets to chit-chat and do your business at the same time. Almost no one has that. And so I just really wanted to emphasize that you're on the doorstep of that infinite upside. And I hope the tools I've given you today let you open the door.
What a beautiful way to finish. I love that.
That wasn't even scripted. That was that just came out.
You're so talented that way, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Tom. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on the Dressing Gown CEO podcast again. And I hope that this time you get lots of different amazing responses and things that happen in your life that are great as well.
The more we talk, the luckier we get, so thanks.
Yeah, true. Well, thank you guys for watching and listening to the Dressing Gown CEO, where we are real, raw and authentic. And make sure that you go and listen to the other episode, the very first episode that Tom and I did. And we will have all the links and contacts, and if you want to slide into Tom's DMs, we'll have the Instagram, all of that in the show notes. But for now, thank you, take care, and be good.